Hey everyone, it's Chelsea with Savannah Wren Studio, and a few weeks ago I had done a Facebook Live where I kind of vented and rambled a little bit about some of my insecurities with regards to my business and having more of a digital presence. And this past week, I spent a little bit of time watching my own video and really listening to some of the issues that were coming up. And I really focused on three in particular that seemed to stand out the most and that seemed to maybe resonate with other people. And the first one is that I tend to be very uncomfortable with showing my face, being the face of my business, being the face of my digital footprint, because it involves being seen. And when you're seen, that opens you up to both criticism and rejection. The second issue that I really saw in my own video was that I tend to throw myself into projects more often where I don't have to show my face or really be seen. It's almost like this magical invisibility mask. So I do a lot of writing and I do photography and things like that where it's not about me, it's about what's being conveyed through my work. And the third one really encapsulates the overall issue that I seem to be really struggling with, not only currently with my business, but I've struggled with since, childhood at the very least. And that is this overwhelming fear of being criticized, of being bullied, being rejected for who I am. And when I started researching ways and tips that I could work on this fear of rejection and criticism, I realized that it is a very common issue among the ADHD community. And what I learned was that this fear and almost intense sensations around rejection and criticism, or even the perception of rejection and criticism, it actually has a name. And when I found that out, I just couldn't believe it. So it's actually a phenomenon called rejection sensitive dysphoria, and it is closely linked to ADHD. Now, you don't have to have ADHD to experience this issue, but there tends to be a higher correlation among people with ADHD that experience RSD. And basically what RSD is this overwhelming fear of the emotional response to rejection, criticism, and the potential for rejection and criticism. And it's not just a mental fear, it's a physical sensation. People that deal with RSD feel intense pain and suffering when they experience or are exposed to rejection and criticism, that it causes issues with regards to their thoughts, their moods, and their behaviors. So, for instance, someone with RSD might go out of their way to avoid potential rejection and criticism. This could be anything from not trying anymore, not trying to make friends, not trying to do this project, not trying new experiences. Or they might go to the other side and try too hard that it stymies their growth and what they're wanting to do. They become a ultra perfectionist, which then they might be able to get some of their work done, but it's never good enough for them, and they worry that it's going to lead to rejection and criticism, and so they don't share their projects unless they're absolutely forced to it. And then there's an overwhelming anxiety around sharing it, having their work and themselves be seen in all the different ways that we want and crave to be seen and validated. And so there's not only this external need for validation, but there is this internalized self-loathing and anxiety and worthlessness that they can experience. And I experience it incredibly intensely, almost every day with things that I do, whether it's cleaning around the house. I'm worried that it's not good enough for my husband and my family. Or if I'm posting a story on Facebook, I'm worried that people are going to reject me for my experiences and invalidate my existence, because I'm so afraid of being rejected for who I am and what I do. So I wanted to create this video not only to spread the word and spread awareness about rejection sensitive dysphoria, but I also wanted to share some tips that I found in some of my ADHD resources, resources on RSD, and then also things that I've been working on with my own therapist in behavioral cognition therapy. So what I feel that I really need to do as a way to accept that I do experience RSD and it's very, very intense, I am going to work on some form of exposure therapy where I push myself to incrementally, in small little steps, expose myself to criticism, both constructive and non-constructive criticism, as well as putting myself out there for the possibility of rejection, and then reminding myself that it's okay for criticism to come my way. It doesn't mean that I'm worthless as a person. It doesn't mean that I don't deserve to exist because I'm not perfect. And to just remind myself every single day that it's okay. Now, that's a tall order, and I completely understand if you're watching this and you're thinking that just sounds way too big of a step. And so, I wrote down a couple of other ideas to help me, and in turn, maybe help you reach that level of acceptance through exposure. Now, we can easily go and expose ourselves to all the different kinds of rejection and bullying and teasing and criticism. We do that every single day on social media. But what's most important is what do you do after you've been exposed, that you've let yourself be seen? And what I wrote down for myself was that I know that RSD is an emotional response, which then leads to thoughts, most often intrusive thoughts, and then leads to some sort of behavior from those thoughts. And so what I am going to try to do is that after I've been exposed to the stimuli, I am going to pause and take 5 breaths and remind myself that this criticism does not define me, and that I am safe, and I am secure, and I am grounded in this moment. And I'm going to repeat those mantras with my breath until I've ridden the wave, the crest of that emotion, enough that I can then ask myself, is this stimulus fact, or is it fiction? Is what they are saying reality, or is what they're saying their opinion? And it's that being able to differentiate between fact and opinion that will help me move closer toward that accepting of rejection and criticism. Because if it's a fact that, yes, my sentences are run-on sentences and that they need to be reworked, I will accept that and take that criticism to heart and rework my sentences or rework my image to figure out a little bit better and incorporate their advice and their opinion. But if it is determined to just be their opinion and we have a differing opinion of what I am doing and what I am saying, that's fine. And I can work with that. But I can't get to that place of acceptance if I'm in the middle of that emotional wave. Because emotions are our messengers, and they are valid and they are real, but they may not always reflect reality. Just like our thoughts may not always reflect the facts of reality and of the situation. It's our perspective. So those are some tips that I'm planning on working on to help be more interactive as the face of my work and of my business, and also just putting myself out there to be seen. If I'm always hiding in the shadows, I'll never get to be part of the light. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my video. You can follow me here on YouTube and on Facebook. If you like my work, check out my Patreon, hit the like button and subscribe. And as always, the light and the darkness within me recognizes and honors the light and the darkness within you. Namaste.